welcome back to the second video for Scary Stories in Wonderland. I'm Allison in Wonderland. I hope you all had a very happy Easter. And I also hope you enjoyed my first video I made. Happy late Easter. Today's video includes a pair of monkey sisters, a scary Ouija board, a demon stalker whispering phantoms, and a human stalker. It took me longer than expected to write them all out. So now I hope I can actually finally release the video today. All of the stories are from Reddit, except for the very first one. I also hope everyone is faring well with the COVID-19 and their stay-at-home orders. Trust me, I've been off since March 19th and won't be getting back to work until May 1st, unless the stay-at-home orders get extended. So I have been working on college work until the semester ends. Until then, just keep thinking happy thoughts and we'll make it through this. The Monkey Sisters by my BFF. Back in the day, there used to be an old cow farm with a cellar on top of Many Hill on Black Run Road in Ohio. The outside of the cellar is still standing, but the roof is caved in. My dad told me when he was younger, him and his friends would walk up there, and there were two sisters that lived inside the farmhouse. But the sisters had monkey tails. I thought he was lying his ass off, but then I went and talked to my grandpa, who is a preacher, and he wouldn't lie. My grandpa told me he went there once for something and knocked on the door. So they came to the door and they were wearing skirts. He said one of them turned and he could see the tail sticking out and it was moving. So he knew it was a real functioning appendage. If you Google it, it's extremely rare, but it is possible. They were known as the Monkey Sisters of Knock'emstuff. A Ouija equals terrifying by 69 Jake Plays Games and 69. I'm usually not one to believe in the Ouija board, but that has changed. It all started when I got home from town. I bought an Ouija board to see what all the fuss was about. I managed to convince my little sister, who was 12 at the time, to play with me. We set up the game and started playing. It wasn't long until the planchette started to move. At first, it was fine. We were talking to passed away families and friends. Then the room went from 75 degrees to 55 degrees and the planchette was spelling Zozo over and over again. I was scared shitless and so was my sister. We said goodbye and the room's temperature went back to normal. We heard a thump like something fell off the wall. We started checking each room in our house. Finally we checked hers. Her room had a wooden crucifix on the wall. It was knocked over, so we put it back on the wall. We went to the kitchen to find that it was cold again. We heard another thump immediately. We checked her room. The thump was like someone stomped in her room. We were the only ones home. We found the crucifix upside down in the middle of her room. I then broke the board into 7 pieces and burned them. It didn't take long before everything was back to normal. Because of my antics, I got sleep paralysis. I would not recommend using an Ouija board. Ever. The Stalker is watching me by Creep 108. While I'm writing this story to you, I must tell you that I'm in a dark room. No light except for my computer screen. I am home alone. Everything in the house is quiet, but I feel like someone or something is watching and stalking me around the house. Sometimes I hear noises and scratches that make my blood run cold, like there is something trying to lead me to him, or worse, like revenge. I can't think about it because it gives me chills. It all started when my 2 friends and I tried to contact spirits at an abandoned graveyard at night. One of the friends had an old book. When I saw it, I asked him why it looked so damaged, why the pages were yellow, and why the book had a leather cover. He told me that the book belonged to his grandfather, and it was a gift from a guy who used it to do witchcraft. The name of the book is Shams al-Ma'arif al-Kubra. If you can't understand it, let me tell you that this book is in all Arabic, and it means the great son of knowledge. You can Google it, but I don't recommend you read it until you hear my story. My friend opened the book, and we saw random letters and some spells. The spells were on how to summon demons and spirits. Some of the letters contain names of demons, which means jinn in Arabic. I said, maybe we shouldn't do this. It looks dangerous. The first friend responds, let's try it and see how it goes. I was a little bit afraid, but I thought, it's only a book. What will happen if we do it anyway? No, it's not just a book. It's a demon's gateway, and we let one loose. I wish I could go back to that moment and stop myself from doing it now, because I can't sleep well or focus well, nor can my two friends who were with me. It all began in that old graveyard with the creepy book that my friend brought with him so we could try to contact one of those spirits in the book. Little did we know that the book never hid any good inside, only evil. It was at night, around midnight. My friends and I headed into the old graveyard. We opened the book randomly and we found a page with names, spells, and a way to summon spirits. The spirit's name, which was a demon, was Nazur. But we didn't know anything about it or what he could do or what he was. We read that to summon it, you should wear your clothes inside out and kneel towards the direction of the book, then draw a circle with a black pen, draw a square in the circle and the center of the circle, then divide the square into smaller squares, write in each one of the squares a letter, number, or symbol shown in the book. Then put your hand on your chest and recite the same words, but backwards. When I saw it, there were no candles or a demon star in the circle. I thought, puff, it's just child's play. Oh, I wish it was, though. We did as the book said. To be honest, we didn't see, hear, or feel anything. No songs, no creepy sounds, no nothing. As we were there, we waited an hour, and nothing happened. My friend Malik said, nothing happened, and nothing will happen. So we gathered our things, and we went back home, laughing about it with each other. When I got home, I took a shower and went straight to bed, not thinking about what my friends and I had done. Suddenly I hear moaning and someone saying, no life, no life, no life, 3 times in a row. All of the hair on my body stood up and my heart started beating hard. My eyes almost came out of my head, not from the sound that I heard, but from a person standing in front of my bedroom door. He had no facial features, had long hands, and although he didn't have any facial features, I felt he penetrated my soul directly. I closed my eyes and then opened them again, but the person was gone. It was the most feared moment of my life. The next morning I woke up and found a few messages from Malik saying, hello? A simple question. Did you feel something or hear anything last night? I had the same messages from our other friend, Amen, who was also with us at the graveyard. I called them and we decided to meet at Malik's grandfather's house. We met up and talked about what happened. Malik said he was in the bathroom and while standing in front of the mirror, he noticed black spots inside of the mirror. When he touched it, he said there were spots of black ink. Then he heard someone uttering strange words that said, carry the consequences of your deeds. No life, no life, no life. When we asked Amen, he told us that he heard the sound of someone scratching in the wall and then heard a voice calling to him saying, it was not your fault, but it is the fault of your friends. There is no life for life, no life. Malik told us we must stop this immediately. While we were talking, Malik's grandmother entered the room and asked, what is this thing that you want to stop? Dead silence was in the room. Amen told her everything because he was afraid. Not because of Malik's grandma, but from the demon who was stalking us. Suddenly she asked us about the name of the spirit that was summoned. Malik said, Nazur. I swear to God, I've never seen a person turn yellow of fear. She stood up from where she sat down. A very shocked Malik asked, "What is it, Grandma? What's wrong? Can we stop it, right?" She only said 3 words. "God protect you." I asked, "Who is Nazor? What do you know about him?" She responds, "No one knows anything about him. The only thing that's known is that the demon is one of the most feared demons and one of the most terrifying. In the end, he is ruthless and doesn't care about anyone or anything." Someone whispering my name to me, a Tick Mackenzie. So this story happened about 3 or 4 years ago whenever I was still in high school. I'm a girl, and I was probably around 17 maybe. This one afternoon, my parents left to visit my grandparents, and my sister was at her rugby practice. So I was left home alone. That wasn't a problem for me. I was used to being home alone since both my parents worked late and my sister was always doing something out of the house. This afternoon, I was on my computer in my room and I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I was probably watching a movie or some YouTube video because I had my headphones on. I had been alone for about an hour up to this point. I'm not sure how important it is to know, but my room's on the first floor. When you climb up the stairs, you can literally step from the last step into my room to the right, and my computer desk is exactly opposite to the door. I usually leave my door open wide with a doorstop, and this day was no different. As I sat with my back to the door and my headphones on, I felt as if somebody was behind me. At first I shrugged the feeling off because it happened to me quite often in the house, and I never really paid much attention to it. I simply convinced myself it was just my brain messing with me. Then the feeling got somehow more intense, so I took my headphones off and I turned around, but nobody was there, as expected, and I couldn't hear anything or anyone. Now, my sister would prank me sometimes by standing in the doorway really quietly, just watching me and waiting for me to turn around and see her and scare the living hell out of me. She thought it was hilarious, and I thought it might be her, even though I knew she wouldn't be home for another couple hours. This feeling started to bother me, as I feared someone might have entered the house, since I didn't really know if my parents had locked the front door or not. I got up from my seat and checked the stairs, where I had thought my sister could be hiding from me, but there was no one there. This unexplainable feeling of discomfort lingered in the hallway. I then just stopped and listened for any noise, but heard nothing. I went to check the house, and sure enough, the doors were locked, all the windows were closed, and I was really alone. I went back to my room and sat down. After some time, the feeling came back, and I chose to ignore it, though I did put my headphones away. Then this thing I still to this day cannot explain happened. I feel chills go up my spine, and a warm breath on the left side of my neck. I sat there so still, afraid to move an inch, and in my head I was somehow still convincing myself it was my sister. After a second or two, I heard my name being whispered in my ear. I turned my head slowly, just enough so that from the corner of my eye I could see that nobody was standing there. I then whipped my head around so fast my neck hurt, and upon seeing that indeed nobody was there, in an instant I pushed myself along with the chair away from the desk and the door so hard that I fell on the floor and hurt my elbow. I then took my phone and ran into the bathroom, where I stayed for about 30 minutes before my parents finally got back. I haven't told them the story, but I did mention it to my sister, who thought I was hallucinating or something. I am honestly not sure whether I was hallucinating or something actually was there with me that day. I kind of don't really want to find out. My weed dealer turned creepy. Very creepy. By a mother of Hendrix. When I was 18, I was living in a small town. I was with some friends, and I was friends with the rowdy skaters around town, and they helped me connect with this dude who sold weed. He was around 29 at the time, and gave me pretty good deals and lived nearby. I wasn't driving at the time, so this was convenient for me. His name was Max. Max has always struck me as a weird dude, but I honestly quite like his weirdness. Not in a romantic way or anything, but I like weird people. We had normal weed buying interactions that never lasted more than 10 minutes. I would buy some weed, maybe smoke a bowl, that's it. He'd often tell me he could drop it off at my house, but I never let him because, as I said before, he was weird. I wasn't afraid of him, but was definitely aware that he and his offers to deliver were weird. One day in May 2018, I was invited to a bonfire by some of the same ratty skaters that introduced me to Max. I had no idea that he'd be there, nor was it important to me at all. I brought the guy I was dating at the time. I said hey to everyone, including Max. We stayed for a couple hours, and some of them played music on their guitars. After around the time I left, which was around 11 p.m., Max was getting upset about something and threw his guitar into the bonfire. I didn't know what he was getting angry or upset about, and paid no mind to it. This happened as I was leaving with the guy I was dating. I went to bed and woke up the next day to paragraphs on paragraphs of crazy texts from Max received between 1 and 5 a.m., like a constant stream of texts stating things such as, "You know how much I loved you," and "You are a cruel cunt." He would go back and forth between saying, "I would give you the world if you let me, and you really do deserve him." He said some really scary things too, like, "You are a predator and should be snubbed out. Just wait," and "You are stuck. I will either love you or hate you to the fullest extent my powers behold. Right now, I pay the worst death on you and that fuckboy bitch." To top it all off, he said, "Losing you is like you losing a mother to me," and told me to tell him I never loved him again if I did. I said, "I never loved you. Do not message me again," and left it at that. I didn't get a response, nor did I care to get one. Max never expressed any romantic interest, asked me out, or anything. This was all out of nowhere, and he was 11 years older than me. I was barely 18. That night, he cut off his long hair and posted naked photos on Facebook, curled up in the fetal position, talking about being a statue of shame. It's as if he had a breakdown. But I had no intention of causing that, and didn't think I would even offend anyone by bringing the guy I was seeing. Everyone else seemed to like the guy I brought. About a week later, Max texted me pretty late at night and asked if I had seen the flowers he spread along my sidewalk, saying that he stole every flower in the vicinity of my neighborhood that night. I asked how he knew where I lived and said I hadn't seen the flowers, so he must have had the wrong house. I also told him he shouldn't do that, as I never felt anything for him, and so on. He told me that he had heard I lived on the same block as another one of the skater guys we were both friends with, and he wasn't wrong. The skater guy I lived by was on the other side of the block, and I never walked that way, so I never saw the flowers. I blocked his number and didn't hear from him again for weeks. Weeks later, I woke up after a rough night and there were loads of flowers on the sidewalk right outside of my house, along with a little bouquet at the top of my walkway. I was pissed. I wasn't scared yet, and stupidly, I unblocked his number and texted him asking why the fuck there were flowers outside of my house. This confirmed to him that this indeed was where I lived. I still to this day feel so stupid for texting him and making it known that after weeks he had found my house. He responded saying, sounds nice. 'Twas me. I bitched him out and basically blocked his number again. About a week later, I was out of town and my roommate texted me a photo of a heart with a peace sign inside of it, and my name written under it with chalk outside our house. When I got back into town, I went to the courthouse and began the process of getting a stalking order against him. When I left the courthouse, I went to Max's work and told him he needed to stop this behavior, that he was stalking me. He looked me in my eyes with no facial expression and said, "If you don't leave, I'm calling the cops." I got angry and said loudly, "Call the cops. I was just talking to them about you." and left his work in a rage. Soon after this, I began driving again. I once drove by him and he noticed it was me. The next day, I woke up with my car covered in flowers. I presented my case to the judge and she put the stalking order in place. He was served with it by police officers, and I thought that was the end and he wouldn't be bothering me again. I was wrong. After the stalking order was served, he made several other chalk messages on my sidewalk, left random gifts for me like chalk, and beheaded My Little Pony heads on beer bottles. I always brought these to the police station, but they said I needed to catch him doing it, take a photo, or get a security camera video. So, I got a security camera and really hoped I would catch him. It turned out my security camera was stupid and I couldn't just watch the video it took, but I had to skip through second by hand. It was an impossible task, and I was terrified of leaving my house at night at this point. I never had my curtains open anymore, and I was so frustrated that my livelihood was being taken away from me. Ultimately, I unblocked his number in hopes he would text me directly, violating the stalking order, and after a few days, it worked. He sent me a weird text saying something like, "Forgive me, we are charming, this is harming, let us try again." By now it's September 2019 and he finally goes to jail. He is facing up to a year in jail and has to stay there until our court date. I finally start calming down. I am starting to feel alive again. Right when I'm starting to feel secure in my small town life again, someone posted bail and he was released only after 3 months in jail, and I went back to living in fear. We still had the court dates coming up, and I was also still optimistic that he would serve more time for ruining my life for so long. His lawyer kept pushing back the court date back to gather evidence, and after 6 months of pushing it back, the state decided he wouldn't do anything anymore and closed the case basically. I had moved out of town 3+ hours away at this point, so he didn't actually have an option to continue this behavior. Living in this new place, I feel safe. I can walk at night and don't have to have my curtains closed all the time. It's been over a year since they decided to close the case. About a month ago, he began responding to my friends' Instagram stories, and their friend in the new town I moved to. He's always telling them about how fond of me he is, and several other things. I have always had him blocked, but my Instagram isn't private, so he must have found them that way. I have since changed my account to private, and he hasn't messaged any more of my friends. I refuse to be fearful now to be the way I was then. He will never find where I live or where I work now. However, my life is forever changed after this experience. I will always be more aware of people and their weird energy. I will always close my curtains early in the evening and make sure all of the windows and doors are locked. I will always live a little bit in fear, maybe not because of him, but of it happening again. He ruined my life for a year, and I truly wish he had gotten that time in jail. He deserves it. So Max, let's never meet again. Thank you guys for listening to the new video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to hear your story on a future video, send it to me through email. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and comment something. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon to get notified for the next video I do, so you will know immediately. I also have Patreon for those who are interested in that. Email and Patreon will be posted in the description below. So see you guys in the next video.